Hey guys, it's wcwabossman again, and this is just a response of a different sort to Spinnernet's video of WWE's top 10, you know, mistakes in booking and whatnot. But it wasn't really about WWE in a sense, even though it was owned by Vince McMahon. Spinnernet talked about the XFL. Now, even though the XFL was owned by Vince McMahon, I don't put XFL and WWE together. Even though at some points, like The Rock was doing things and whatnot to introduce games, and I agree with you, Spinnernet, that XFL, excuse me, was a huge gamble and a huge mistake in a lot of respects because Vince wasn't the right guy to be trying to compete with an actual sports entity, a dynamo, a juggernaut, as you said. Because Vince, as much as I respect the man, and I respect him, I don't always agree with his decisions, but I respect him. Vince is a sports entertainment, basically now an entertainment promoter. So he has no business, and I thought when I first saw it that he had no business doing what he did and bringing the XFL into the realm of sports because it didn't, it was football, yes. And I do agree with you that a lot of the play was sloppy and whatever, but I mean, I just think it was football that was totally over the top as far as the cheerleaders basically look like strippers. Um, you know, guys didn't have their names on the back of the jerseys. Some of the time they had nicknames, such as the guy that made fame off the "He Hate Me," you know. And it was mostly just a league, as you said, for guys that couldn't cut it in the NFL, couldn't cut it in the European leagues, you know, that were just not wash ups, but washouts as far as the National Football League. And I think that, you know, the NFL did adopt a lot of Vince's concepts that were part of the XFL, such as the camera views and whatnot. But I also think that those innovations were gonna come along anyway, because the NFL's always been good with that. So, and I mean, the XFL, there were a few players that were a part of the XFL that did transition to the NFL and had marginal success. But I do agree that overall, the XFL was a flop. I mean, I did watch a few games. I tried to really get into it. And, you know, if things would have been different, if it was run a little bit differently, if it wasn't seen as a redheaded stepchild of the WWE and seen as a separate entity and run a little different, who knows what it would be. But, you know, it wasn't, and it flopped. And it, it was a mistake. But it also showed that, you know, somebody wanted to compete with the NFL. Because, you know what? The NFL is the only real strong, they're the monopoly of the American football market. I know there's the UFL and the Canadian Football League and all that stuff, but for the most part, the dominating American style football is basically the NFL. I mean, we had the AFL, which was cool, but they pretty much went by the wayside. They're not active anymore, and the NFL is really the big one. And Vince just wanted to. I don't think he was really looking for it to be this huge dynamo success like the WWE was. I think as a businessman, he knew where it was going to go, but he just wanted to show people that he had the balls to, you know, do something that a lot of people thought he wouldn't do. So, in that, you got to give respect to Vince, even though it didn't work out the way he planned. So, that's my thoughts on that. But I also have a unique question for you all who watch my videos. Now, you all know me if you watch my videos. You know that I'm physically disabled. You know that I'm wheelchair bound. You know that I have a disability, cerebral palsy. But and you also know by paying attention that I run a small independent wrestling company out of Florida that used to be based in Connecticut. And I was wondering, and I really want your true feedback on this, would you guys and girls who watch me like to know what my experiences thus far in the business have been like? Because I have a lot of stories, a lot of feedback, a lot of input on things in the wrestling industry that, promoters are silent about. But I really want to get my story out there because my story is so unique and is so different. So I just want to know if you guys would be interested in hearing that story. And please let me know what you think. And I'll catch y'all next time.